Josh, what's up, man?
What's going on, everybody?
How was your off season? Did you get to travel anywhere?
Yeah, I did. Had to go down to Cabo. Just a lot of wedding season for a lot of soccer players. So
Yeah,
former teammates, former friends, all that. Just a lot of traveling for that. Bachelor parties. So some warm climates, some cold climates. So got a little bit of everything in there.
a little Broadway in Nashville in there.
No, unfortunately not.
That's
Favorite
that's
spot.
yeah, that's where I thought of doing mine. But hey, man, good to see you again. Just want to get your kind of impressions of the center back group you got. I know you haven't seen Milos yet, but obviously Jalil's a veteran in there. How do you feel about the group and kind of the depth you guys have at your position?
Yeah, I think this is one of the strongest groups I've ever been a part of. So I think in the past, you develop bonds and relationships with all defenders, but center backs especially. So I think last year we had a strong group as well. But with new years become, or with new teams become, we have different groups. So to me, this is a strong group. Like you said, we haven't seen Milos yet, but can't wait to incorporate him into the group. And this is a group that's going to battle. I think Jaleel, one of the things that I've noticed about him over the years, I played against him for 12 years. So that guy brings it every day. He's vocal leader. He's strong into the tackle, good distribution. So it's good to have him. And then the young kids, they're coming along well as well. So good group we have, strong group.
Thank you, Josh. Next, we'll go to Pat Murphy, followed by Thomas Costello.
Hey, Josh, good to see you. I'm curious just overall the group's mentality. Caleb said guys came back hungry from day one. As a player, as a guy who's been around this league, what have you seen out of the group and how you feel like it's kind of translated to halfway through preseason here?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think last year there's a sour taste in everybody's mouth. In a lot of ways, I think we wasted a very talented roster. And wasted is kind of a harsh term, but there's injuries and stuff every year. But last year I thought we had a very strong team to make a run at it again. And unfortunately things didn't work out. So I think in the off season, some guys stayed in touch. Some guys stayed around here that trained. So I think everybody, starting from the back up front, there's a lot of depth and a lot of pieces that could contribute right away. So I think training is going to be especially tough this year, just to, for Caleb, just to pick an 11, and then to pick a roster in 18 to 20 guys who could possibly fill out a roster on game day. So with that, that sounds bad. It sounds challenging, but to me, that's the best way. That's the best way to grow a team and to grow a roster. And you need everybody pushing for a starting spot.
Next, we'll go to Thomas Costello from Massive Report, followed by Jacob. And if you'd like a question after that, click raise hand.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate the time today. You're bringing in, you already talked about Milos coming into the club and the center back group being one of the strongest you've played with. One thing that supporters notice whenever center backs come in is that they have some time that they need to adjust to the league. What is something you would share, a piece of advice for Milos coming into the crew and coming into Major League Soccer?
To me, one of the things that I always hear and I can attest to is just the travel. I think America is such a big country that, you could have one game on a Saturday in Columbus, and then on Wednesday you're playing out in San Jose, and then Sunday you're back in, Columbus. So the travel could definitely affect people. Obviously, it's a lot nicer now because we have a charter. I think that adds, that's a huge factor into it. But to me, the long years, from starting now until hopefully we don't end till mid to late November. But I think it's just a long year, a lot of travel in there, different climates. So I think it's just, I think almost things outside of the league, that you can't really control are sometimes the hardest to control. So, and just to get your bearings. But as far as gameplay and all that, I think Milos should come right in. He's a high-level center back, international player. He's played over and all over the world. So to me, I'm not worried about that for him. I think everything outside of soccer is probably the most difficult to adjust to.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Jacob Myers and the final question will be Pat Murphy's.
Josh, you kind of mentioned some of the new guys and around you. I'm just curious what you've seen out of some of the young players, specifically a Will Sands or a Sean Sawatsky.
Maturity for their age, especially Will and Sean almost looks like they have a nice little bond. I think years of college, spending some time hopefully partying in college and developing, strengthening those bonds. But I think all the young guys come with a good sense of maturity. Pretty quiet guys, so I like that in the young guy. That's how I was. They're always listening, ready to have a conversation here or there about things that pop up throughout training. So to me, they've all fit in very well. Like I said, mature for their years. Good players as well. They wouldn't be here if they weren't good players and talented. So to me, they've been a good addition to the club, and I think all of them have bright futures.
And just wanted to ask you how happy you were to see Aiden Morris come back and join the group.
Yeah, that's my guy. Always glad to have that guy back. He just provides energy. He's a goofball too. That's one of the guys I'm always joking around with. So goofball to a certain extent, but also he knows when to buckle down. He knows when the work happens. So to me, he's a big part of our team, just a young energy guy. And I'm excited for him to get back on the field this year and really see his career take off. So I'm happy to have him around.
And for a final question, we'll go to Pat Murphy.
Josh, speaking of that central midfield, last year, obviously, guys being hurt and whatnot, you lost a lot of depth in there. It looks like you've built that back up. I know Artur and Perry are still coming back, but what have you seen from that group in front of you that can kind of help control games for you guys this year?
Yeah, I think just the consistency of having the same, 4, 5, 6 guys in there that you could really build relationships with, and just kind of know how their game works, know when they like to receive the ball, how they like to receive the ball. I think that factor last year was really hard to kind of build relationships because guys were in and out, center backs were in and out. So to me, just to have Artur back, I've played with him for a long time. I had, a lot of time with Aiden. Perry was in and out last year with some injuries. So, and then Marlon ended up coming in and doing a very good job there. So just to have a little consistency with, with that kind of spine of the team, to me will go a long way in our success this year. So there's a lot of good players in there. It's going to be a lot of competitions there, out wings, out on the wing. So it'll be cool to kind of see who steps up there and really takes ownership of that position.
Thanks, everyone. It's going to conclude